Alright, so Lesson 3, Left-Handed Upside Down Guitar Academy. I've been getting some subscribers, so apparently people are actually interested in learning how to do things this way. So for the next lesson, it's going to be something that's a little bit simpler and very friendly to the beginning guitarist, and that is going to be power chords, also known as three-note chords, not even real chords because they only contain, let's say for example, the root, fifth, and octave. And so you get this whole thing that you often hear in a lot of punk and pop punk and some metal and a lot of classic rock. Power chords are very versatile, tremendously useful, and basically I just showed you how to do it. You find your root note. Hopefully by this point you know your fretboard well enough to know that I started here on a G. So I've got G and then a D, which is the fifth, and then the next string over, 2 frets up, is another G, so that's G, D, G. So that gives you this. And then you can just move this position over, like I just moved it over 1 string to make it a C power chord. So you end up with these little common things like that. Lots of parallel fifths and parallel octaves, but it's rock and roll, so who cares, right? But considering that, like everything else we've been doing, it's upside down, we have our own little challenges. Now, when a right-hander plays these positions, they usually can kind of do it in this kind of, you might even commonly see this where they've got this. This is going to be their root, fifth, octave. And they can just do this, and because of the nature of the position there, they can easily use this finger to mute the rest of the strings. Now we can't do that. So if we were to play, like for example, I'll play like a G sharp power chord here. There's my root, and then 2 frets up, 1 string over is my D sharp, and then my other G sharp. That sounds fine when you play it like that, but what if I accidentally hit some of these other strings? Well, that doesn't sound good at all, does it? It's got all kinds of non-tonal stuff in there. So if you're playing in the key of E major, for example, you might have this G sharp power chord somewhere. So how do we do it so that this does not sound awful? Well, turns out we have this middle finger here, and we can use it to kind of just lightly drape it over these other ones to... I missed one. But what I do is, instead of trying to use that one finger to mute all 3 of these strings, is I will use my thumb to mute the thinner E string, and then I will use the middle finger to mute the next string. So I just kind of cradle it between them so that it mutes these 2. The thumb mutes this one so that... So I'm strumming the whole thing right now. You just don't hear 3 of the strings because I've got this finger muting these, and I've got the thumb muting these. So. And then up to my E chord. And actually the E chord is the one power chord that you can just play all the way through and have all friendly notes in it, but that's another matter. So muting things, you're going to have to use both your middle finger and your thumb, especially if you're starting down here on the E string. So the evidence is in that G sharp power chord that you can't hear those ugly strings. But there's something else you can do, and that's adding a 4th finger, and that makes it a little bit easier. But you can only do it on certain chords. So let's say I am playing in, D major. So I'll go ahead and this note here that you see my index on, that's D, and so I'll do a D, A, D for my D power chord. Now this time I'm using my thumb to mute this, my middle finger to mute just the B string. There's my D power chord. Now that's the one chord in the key of D. Now, some chords are major, some chords are minor. Hopefully by now you know that in any given key, your 1 chord is major, your 2 chord is minor, your 3 chord is minor, your 4 chord is major, your 5 chord is major, your 6 chord is minor, Your 7th chord, you're not usually going to play it, so don't worry about it at this point. But I'm going to play a, let's say, a 1, 6, 2, 5 progression in D. So that's going to be D, B minor, E minor, and A. So here's my D. Now I'm going to go down to the 6, right? That's my B. So I've got my B power chord here. Now I've showed you something about that in previous lessons, and that is if I know it's going to be a B minor, if I know it's going to be that 6th chord, which is naturally minor in this key, I can add my middle finger right here. So now I have this really comfortable chord position, right? B, F sharp, B, D. And then I can mute this with my thumb, and then I've got a 4-finger chord there. So it's like a power chord with this little add-on. And the add-on works because it's a minor chord, and it's supposed to be a minor chord. I do the same thing. I just slide my finger up here to the E, my E power chord. So I do E, B, E. And again, since it's the 2 chord and I know it's going to be minor, I'm going to add that finger there for that same super comfortable chord position. I'm muting with my thumb here. That's a really easy 4-note E minor. Now, if you're starting your chord here on the A string, that really comfortable position, that's root, 5th, octave, and 3rd, that's always going to be minor if you use that position on the A string. However, if you use it on the E string, that same position, then it's going to be major. And that's because the distance from the D string to the G string is a 4th, but from the G string to the B string is a 3rd. So if I play this rooted on my A, that's A, E, A, and then C sharp, that's actually going to be a major chord, and I'll mute here. Easy 4-note major chord. So it's the same position that I had over here for B minor. Now when I do it based on the E string instead of the A string, it's a major chord instead of a minor chord. So I'll play that progression at 1, 6, 2, 5. And like power chords, what you're noticing is the beautiful thing is that it's so easy on the hand, right? It's a very simple thing to do to make this root 5th octave. It's also pretty simple to use these other fingers to mute. It's also pretty easy to use that one finger to make it into a minor chord with a 4th string and just mute with a thumb, and or major chord starting on the E string, again muting with the thumb. So that is power chords in a nutshell, combined with some 4th string things that'll either make it major or minor. Remember, if you add that finger for that super comfortable position and it's rooted here on the A string, that's going to be a minor chord. If you do that super comfortable position rooted on the E string, that's going to be a major chord. So it starts here on the A, again A, E, A, C sharp. So if you're playing in a band, especially with an electric guitar, and you've got distortion and things like that, and you're palm muting and all that kind of thing, these are good chords to know. And what is nice about them is, compared to some things that you have to do when you play left-handed upside down, they're so comfortable. And if you noticed, I had my whole bar chord lesson, and you've got some open chords. And when you combine open chords and bar chords and power chords, it really opens up your songwriting and performing palette, and you can do just any number of endless combinations of chord types and decorations. One final decoration I forgot to mention. So we've got our root 5th octave position here, right? So there's like another G power chord. Now, if you want to, instead of doing index finger, pinky, ring finger, which is the most natural feeling, if you want to do index finger, ring finger, middle finger, that leaves this pinky open for decorating up here. So you'll find that kind of decoration and pretty common in some like early rock and roll stuff where you've got your root 5th octave. Use that pinky to add a 6th above the 5th for a decoration. So it's like and so on and so forth. So That's about it for power chords and some of their variations. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that you can do with power chords, but as far as an intro lesson, that's about all I can say for now. So thanks for watching. I guess keep subscribing and commenting, and if you keep subscribing and commenting, I'll keep making more of them because I will feel the social pressure to do so. And that's it. Thanks.